I think you anticipated a couple of questions because you mentioned contracts. I have at least three questions here in the queue about contracts. So the first one says specifically, how do you set up contracts that establish joint accountability? And the second one is specific to incentive-based contracting. What would that look like? So assuming you're staying virtual with a true 90-10 or whatever that the relationship is going to be, you're staying true to that, and you're staying virtual. You're setting up very important contracts now, maybe more important than they ever were. So how do you get joint accountability, and how do you get some incentive-based contracting in there?
Yeah. So I think those, first, again, the questions are great. And thank you for whoever sent them. I would tell you that these are really all related together. And I think I can answer this sort of all in one. And that is, first of all, the understanding is that contracts in their nature, just inherently, are punitive in nature. They tell you, if you don't do anything else, they tell you what repercussions happen if certain things that you're agreeing upon don't happen, right? If you fail to do this, or you fail to do that, or the other party fails to do it, it tells you what consequences there are, right? Oftentimes, though, it doesn't tell you what can happen when somebody sets out the goals in whatever you value: time, efficiency, whatever, high quality, great service, that when they meet or exceed those, what happens? And I would bring you back to the analogy again of the employee and the CDMO and treating them very much the same. So if you're entering into a new statement of work, let's say, with your trusted strategic partner, and one of the things that you would discuss and maybe even put into the contract is the set of goals and objectives that you have for this program, with real end dates that are important to you, that are meaningful. Because let's say you need the released drug product, and don't say at your site, but I need that released drug product at my clinical site, right? Because that's really what you need. And if it gets to that clinical site, and if it's all there, there is some type of either financial reward or continuing business. There's something in it that makes that service provider want to continue to meet or exceed these targets. And so I have built a number of contracts that have these incentive plans in it. And what you basically do is, first of all, understand what is most important to you in this, right? Do you need it on time? If it's not on time, something horrible happens. Are you concerned about the quality? Are you concerned about both? And how expensive does it get for you in the total value of ownership? How expensive does it get to you if they miss? Because that will determine how much you can afford in terms of incentive pay, or in some incentive that you can put in there. And one of the great things about this is that when a supplier realizes that they can receive a higher percent margin on the same work just simply by meeting or exceeding these particular targets, you're almost assuredly going to get the A team, okay? And that's really important. And there'll just be one other aspect that I'm going to say to you, and I'm going to tie in the concept of virtual biotech, and that is, when you have put a model together that is so efficient that your drain is very, very small, the concept of expensive CDMOs kind of flies out the window, because expensive is a relative term. Expensive to a company that has a huge overhead and is spending wildly on excess employees and really expensive real estate and all those kinds of things, any CDMO, which is the lifeblood of your company, now you're cutting into those margins to try to build efficiencies where you could have built them somewhere else. And so actually contracting with a supplier and allowing that supplier to make a reasonable profit rather than trying to skin this down to the bare minimum also ensures you of great quality, great service, because where are they going to put their best talent? Incentivized contracts, contracts that are built that actually they feel pretty good about, that they're not going to have to cut their quality or cut their timelines or do things. And so I think all of this coming together helps you to build the best relationships that you can. And I think the more pharma companies and more CDMOs that do this together raises the entire game of the entire industry.